If you've been paying attention to what is happening in the content marketing space lately, you've probably seen this term popping up everywhere. Companies are specifically hiring for content engineer roles and teams are being restructured around it. But most people still don't understand what content engineering actually means or why it is suddenly so important. So in this video, I'm going to break down what content engineering is, how it's different from the way that we've created content before, and why this shift is finally happening right now. So let's dig in. Okay, so before going into what content engineering actually means, let's take a step back, because the way that we create content right now is very different from how we've been doing it for years. And when you understand how we got here, the rest of the video is going to become a lot more clear. So for years, content marketing was basically an SEO game. You do your content research, you do the keyword research, you write something that checks the right boxes, you optimize it, add backlinks, and when you do all of this right, Google rewards you with traffic. And that playbook worked really well for a very long time. Then 2023 happened, and everyone got access to AI writing tools, and every single team did the exact same thing, which is generate more content. And it felt like this huge unlock until you realize that when everyone's using the same tool and the same training data, everything starts reading the same. So Google ended up penalizing these low-effort AI content. And on top of that, AI search engines like ChatGPT, Perplexity started answering questions directly. So even the content that did rank started getting fewer clicks. So now you're in this situation where the old SEO playbook is losing its edge. AI-generated content made things a lot more noisier than better, and the way that people find information is fundamentally shifting from clicking on links to finding information within chat boxes. And that's when it really hit. The problem was never that we're not able to create content faster. The problem was that we don't have a system for creating content. Now here's the interesting part. In the last year alone, the same AI that created this mess also got powerful enough to actually fix it. Because these models can now do more than just write content. They can research, analyze, optimize, monitor, and beyond all of this, they can orchestrate entire workflows end to end. So for the first time, you could realistically build a system that automates and connects every stage of your content creation process instead of doing it all manually in silos. And that exactly is what gave birth to content engineering. Okay, now to answer the question, what exactly is content engineering? And I want to be really clear here because there's a lot of confusion around this term and people tend to overcomplicate it. At its core, content engineering is about taking everything involved in content production process, right from research, writing, optimization, publishing, monitoring, and instead of doing each of these manually as disconnected steps, you build an entire system that connects all of it together and automates as much of it as possible. And I think the disconnected part is really important to understand because that's really how most of the teams operate today. You've probably got one tool for keyword research, another for writing, or probably a team of writers and editors for writing, another for SEO optimization, probably a developer for publishing your content, and a spreadsheet or a project management tool for tracking everything and making sure that everyone has visibility on what is happening, right? And none of these tools actually talk to each other. Now, what content engineering is essentially about taking all of these disconnected tools and processes and orchestrating them into one connected workflow, where the output of one step automatically becomes the input for the next, and the whole thing runs as a single system instead of a bunch of people copy-pasting between tabs. Now, I think the most important thing to understand is what content engineering is not. It's not about just using AI to write blogs faster. That's just one piece of it. If all you're doing is generating drafts with AI and publishing them, that's not content engineering, and we've already talked about how that played out. Now here's what it looks like when you actually engineer the process. And I actually want to show you what this looks like under the hood because I think seeing the actual workflow makes it a lot more concrete than just talking about it. Now this is what a content engineering workflow actually looks like. Every stage connected, every step is automated, and human review looped in wherever it makes sense. Instead of starting with a gut feeling about what to write, you start with data. Search performance, content gaps, competitor activity, what's getting cited by AI search engines, and that surfaces the opportunity that are actually worth going after. From there, structured brief is generated that already has the keyword targets, audience intent, internal links, reference materials baked in. AI handles the first draft, but not in a generic way. It's working within your brand guidelines, content templates, and structural rules that you've set up specifically for your brand. A human reviews it for accuracy and originality wherever it's needed, and then it gets published automatically. And from that point, the system is actively monitoring how it performs. It monitors the rankings, traffic, AI citations, engagements. And when something starts declining, it flags it to you. So you know exactly what needs a refresh and why instead of discovering that damage probably 6 months later. The best part is, once this kind of system is set up, it doesn't just produce a piece of content, it becomes the engine that your entire content operation runs on. And it keeps getting smarter because the performance data continuously feeds back into the process. Now let's zoom out. Why should all of this matter to you right now? The bottom line, because the way that people are finding content is fundamentally changing. AI search engines are deciding which brands to reference and cite, and they're pulling that information from content that's well structured, that's fresh, that's well maintained, and actually authoritative. But these might not even be the content that's ranking on top. And the teams that have these systems in place are naturally going to be the ones that are visible. The other thing that's worth paying attention to is all of this is still very early. Content engineering as a discipline is still getting formalized, and companies are only now starting to hire for content engineer roles. And the tools and platforms that are being built in this market that enable this are still evolving. Which means if you're starting to build these systems right now, even in a scrappy way, you're still going to be meaningfully ahead of most teams that are still doing things the old way. And I think the simplest way to think about it is content that just gets published and forgotten loses value over time. Content that's part of a system that monitors, maintains, and improves it gains value over time. And this gap between the two is only going to widen the more you wait. So it's less about jumping on a trend and more about understanding that this is where work is headed and deciding to move with it. So yeah, that's about it for this explainer. If you found this useful, if this is something that you're thinking about building, follow along for more such explainers, because we're only going to go deeper and deeper into how content and AI are evolving together. Thanks for watching.